Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 8th of June. So starting looking at the euro dollar yesterday, Friday even, we saw the move into its monthly R2 area and roll back a little. Today, as I'm looking at this, it's already had a little pitch up, but looking like it might even get back towards its weekly pivot below. So it's not that far away. Now a break to the upsides could be happening. We had the divergence on Friday come through there on the 4 hourlies. As I say, that rolled over. That may still have a bit more fire in that. Today, as I'm looking at this, well, we've got the weekly pivot below. We've already hit the daily pivot, so that's ticked off. It could sell off towards its S1 this morning. We just need to watch as the markets, I say open, but get rolling properly post 8 o'clock. A move back above that daily pivot may see us then pushing up for the rest of the week, for part of the week at least, to the upper side there. Those prior highs may be retested. Certainly the daily R1's not that far away, so plenty of targets to go for if it does start pushing back up. We'll just see how it goes, as I say, post 8 o'clock, but for the moment it's a balance between whether it just comes back to hit off that pivot, and again coming down to this area I would look for the support and see how well it supports from here. It has, as you can see, multiple attempts of getting lower, and the more it sort of seems to come back there, maybe it'll kick in a little bit even lower than the support that sits there. So if it hits the support and bounces, well, could be in for the long side. If it hits the support and runs through it, well, I'll leave it alone. I'll be on the short side there. The pound, as we come here, it's had a double top this morning. You can already see it's pitched up so far, getting the strength through it, and on Friday we saw it hold on to the gains. But this morning we didn't really have a divergence on Friday as such with it. But we had a double, as I say, double toppy sort of pattern this morning. We've got a pivot, the weekly pivot sitting underneath. Do wonder if this will roll this morning just back towards that area. So just really what I'm looking at the moment. Maybe never got quite to the absolute double tops there, but it was sitting and waiting. In fact, the divergence was there on the 60 minutes on Friday. But either way, for now, it looks like there's potential for it to roll back to that daily pivot there at 126.1, 61 even. We'll watch that again. Just watch post 8 o'clock exactly how this market stays, and would be patient. I'd rather the euro and the pound to be moving together if I was to be taking this on the short side. Okay, that's the pound. Dollar yen. So the dollar yen, it's been pushing up last week, carried on pushing up even when the other markets were strengthening. It was softening, and it just sort of really shows of the sort of unwinding of yen positions maybe. But again, as we look today, if it's going to roll anything like it or stay correlated with the pound and the euro, well, maybe it will run back towards its weekly pivot there. Just looking at the pattern here, drawing the trend line across the highs here, break back up of that may see further upside, maybe towards today's R1 there at 109.93 sort of zone. But at the moment, just pulling away from this trend line again. It's tapped away there, so a break of that could be reasonably significant. But at the moment, it's below its daily pivot. Maybe the 50 S1 sort of area, or even the weekly pivot sitting below at 108.93. If it gets a wiggle on, could be good targets. Aussie dollar. The Aussie has been my preference on the upside mostly. It's been a bit softer in the last few days around these highs, but even so, mostly putting higher lows in there and pushing up there, not necessarily holding on to its gains each day, or all of the gains, but certainly holding on to some gains each day. Now as we look here, rounding off here a little bit, there was a bit of softness, divergence coming through, maybe. You can see there on the MACD just sloping down where the price has just been pushing up. Just a bit of softness coming through. Unless it can get a wiggle on today, maybe it will roll back towards that weekly pivot. Looking at it in the shorter time frames, it's bit more bitty. It seems to be slowing down. It's had, coming back to the daily, it's had a good solid move up there, so, but as I say, slowing down, giving back each day some of these moves, and I wonder if this would just either consolidate a bit more around these sort of levels, or may even roll. The weekly pivot's quite a distance below, but certainly the daily S1's a possibility. If it starts running through there with that 100 moving average coming up, maybe a support at 69.27. So that's the Aussie. Then finally the Canadian dollar. Now Canadian dollar should have done quite well. Yep, it should have done well. It did well on oil. Oil certainly helped it last week. I'll come on to that in a moment. But at the moment it's almost again, it's a bit like the pound. It's sort of double bottomed. Well, inverted that pound, double bottomed. Had a bit of a bounce, but that does look like that this morning that's going to roll back over in the shape it's making at the moment. Maybe it will run back towards those lows there at 39.95ish area. So it's not much in it, about 20 pips. We'll just see how that kicks off, but does look like the dollar may yield or give way. Okay, so that's the majors there. Let's have a look at oil. And oil saw some decent movement, gapped up through the Asian session there, sold off a little bit, maybe a bit of profit taking coming through here, but pitched back up again, close on to $40, just 12 cents under $40. Certainly moved up a lot stronger than I would have expected quite yet, but with the production cuts being agreed, well, there's the result of such. So at the moment, decent retracements may give opportunity for buying on this market. Okay, finally the S&Ps. And the S&Ps again Friday ended up strongly, pushing right the way up there, closing near the tops. Just coming down the time frames here, bit of softening across these through the Asian session here, which is not unexpected. We either tend to get a bit of consolidation, but does look like it's eased back a bit of divergence maybe into that high there, and the daily pivot not that far away at 31.67. So we may just see that roll over before the cash markets open. Now I'm still quite bullish on it in the bigger picture here at the moment. It seems that nothing can do any wrong to it, so you can't fight against its trend. The technical trend still seems quite solid. Maybe we'll get opportunities later on to be buying if it comes back to support maybe a daily pivot or that 50 moving average, but I'll wait until the cash market opens this afternoon. Okay, that's pretty much it there. In terms of news today, we've got, if you can just get my calendar set up properly, so the 8th there, not a lot really. We have got Lagarde speaking at 2:45, due to testify before the European Parliamentary Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee. She said a bit last week, and I think that we're probably going to see very little aside of what she said. So I can't see too much coming into there. We've got we've had German industrial reduction coming at -18, so it's worse than expected for the euro there. But all in all, it's very low key news up until when Lagarde speaks at 2:45. Okay, have a great day. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye for now.